The question of whether extraterrestrial life exists has intrigued humans for centuries. Many people have sought answers to the question, are we alone? And though there is no definitive confirmation yet, some believe we are very close to finding out the truth. Some even think that governments or those in power already know the truth about aliens, and that extraterrestrials are not just a concept that keeps some people awake at night, but a reality known for generations. It is not surprising that many religious individuals turn to the Bible for answers. While the Bible does not explicitly mention extraterrestrials or UFOs, some enthusiasts and scholars suggest that it contains hidden references to encounters with beings from other worlds. They interpret certain passages as evidence of extraterrestrial contact. A popular idea is based on the Ancient Astronaut theory by Swiss author Erich von Däniken. He claimed that many extraterrestrial encounters are described in the Bible, especially in the Old Testament. According to this theory, the ancient authors and prophets who wrote the Bible did not have the modern vocabulary to explain what they were seeing. For example, it would be unreasonable to expect someone living 2,000 years ago to explain concepts like propulsion systems, vehicular suspension, or gravity. If they saw a UFO, they might describe it in supernatural terms or attribute it to God. As seen in Job 41 verse 1, God shows Job the Leviathan to illustrate that his creations are beyond human understanding. Similarly, it made sense for ancient people to rationalize unexplained phenomena as acts of God or, in some cases, as mechanisms of Satan, which they chose to shun. Another theory suggests that the Bible once included more references to UFOs, but these were removed when King James commissioned the King James Version. Some believe that books like the Book of Enoch, the Book of Esdras, or the Book of Maccabees were excluded to hide specific details about extraterrestrial encounters. These lost texts might have provided clearer descriptions that could not be dismissed as mere visions or divine dreams. The Tent of Meeting was located outside the camp for two main reasons. Firstly, it served as a private place for Moses to communicate directly with God. Secondly, its location reflected that some Israelites had fallen out of favor with God, and Moses wanted to avoid disgracing God by allowing them to be near the tent. During their journey, the Israelites were guided by a pillar of cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night. According to Exodus 33 verses 10 to 11, whenever the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the entrance to the tent, they all stood and worshipped, each at the entrance to their tent. The Lord would speak to Moses face to face, as one speaks to a friend. The phenomena of the pillars of cloud and fire have been subjects of curiosity and skepticism. Clouds are typically seen in the sky, making the idea of a cloud pillar unusual. This is usually considered one of God's many mysterious manifestations, signaling his presence in unique ways. The concept of the pillar of cloud and fire as representations of God's presence is intriguing, yet some modern readers seek a more logical explanation. They wonder why God chose these particular forms. Reflecting on Job 38, where God explains to Job that his actions are beyond human comprehension, some believers suggest that questioning God's ways is improper. However, others speculate that these pillars could be among the earliest accounts of UFOs in the Bible. These were not mere visions but events witnessed by Moses and all the Israelites. Exodus 13 verse 21 describes, "By day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night." Later, God used the pillars to confuse the Egyptian army, as noted in Exodus 14 verse 24. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. Some theorize that these pillars were not just divine signs but could resemble modern rocket emissions, suggesting an extraterrestrial origin. The Egyptians might have seen a strange flying object with large engines underneath, which could explain why they were so eager to leave and let the Israelites go. Seeing something so extraordinary would make most people today run away. Later, in Genesis chapter 34, a pillar of cloud comes down on the isolated tent, and Moses goes inside to talk with God as a friend, not just a subject to his creator. The Bible doesn't provide all the details of their conversations, but it indicates a close and easy relationship between Moses and God, unlike other prophets' interactions. Despite this closeness, Moses isn't entirely trusting and questions God, even asking to see him. God responds in Exodus 33 verses 19 to 23, saying, "I will cause all my goodness to pass in front of you. You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live." God allows Moses to see his back, but not his face. This encounter leads some to view the cloud as a flying vehicle used by God to descend from heaven. This perspective extends to considering God as an extraterrestrial being misunderstood by Moses and the Israelites as a divine creator. This idea aligns with the ancient alien theory, suggesting such beings genetically altered early humans and stayed involved in human affairs. For argument's sake, let's consider the cloud as a UFO. God does mention appearing as a dense cloud in Exodus 19. Some argue that when God tells Moses not to look at his face, it could be due to harmful radiation or bacteria, not just Moses' unworthiness. In Exodus 34, before God appears, he instructs Moses to stand on a specific mountain and ensures no one else, not even animals, are present. In essence, God's protective measures for Moses during their encounters on Mount Sinai. There's a debate whether these measures were to shield Moses from divine holiness, biological hazards, or simply to maintain an air of mystery. According to Exodus 33 verses 22 to 23, God instructs Moses to position himself in a rock cleft while covering him with his hand as he passes by, allowing Moses only to glimpse his back, not his face. Some interpret this as a metaphorical encounter with God, while others, such as some UFO theorists, speculate it could be a literal interaction with an alien entity resembling a spaceship. After these encounters, Moses returns to his people with a radiant face, described in Exodus 34 verses 29 to 30, which some attribute to a divine glow from being in God's presence. However, those who view the events through a UFO lens suggest that Moses might have been exposed to harmful radiation, causing his face to appear burned or glowing. This interpretation clashes with traditional views, which emphasize the spiritual transformation that comes from communion with God rather than a physical reaction to extraterrestrial technology. In Exodus 24 verses 15 to 18, the glory of the Lord is depicted as a consuming fire on the mountain, reinforcing the divine nature of the events. UFO enthusiasts argue that this description aligns with how ancient people might have perceived advanced technology, mistaking it for a supernatural phenomenon. They draw parallels with other biblical passages, such as the thunder, lightning, and cloud mentioned in Exodus 19, which they interpret as indicative of a spacecraft landing. This viewpoint contrasts sharply with mainstream interpretations that emphasize God's presence through natural phenomena as a sign of his power and authority. Ultimately, the interpretations of these biblical passages hinge on whether one views the events through a lens of faith in God's divine intervention, or through a speculative lens that entertains the possibility of ancient encounters with extraterrestrial beings or technology. Each perspective offers a distinct narrative about the origins and implications of these ancient accounts, shaping how we understand the intersection of religion, history, and scientific inquiry. In the biblical story from Exodus 19 verses 16 to 18, Moses leads the Israelites out of their camp to Mount Sinai, where they are to encounter God. The scene is described as awe-inspiring and terrifying. The mountain is covered in smoke, thunder, and lightning, as God descends upon it in fire. This dramatic manifestation of divine presence is intended to command reverence and fear from the Israelites, underscoring the power and majesty of God.
If you found this video enjoyable, please consider liking and sharing it. Additionally, subscribing to this channel will ensure that you receive more updates in the future. Thank you.